Look at me, Mom, a real company. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be working on an A1708 that appears to be running slow. Let's take a look at this machine and see what's wrong with it. The first thing we're going to do on this MacBook is kill its coronavirus. Die. Die, Corona. Die. Die! Yes. Yes. Burn. Burn, Corona. Filthy beer virus. Shit, Corona. Die, Corona. No coughing. I'm gonna kill that Corona. Corona-free store. Corona-free workplace. Die, Corona. Die. So the problem here is they said that it runs really slow and the fan spins really fast. So let's see what it looks like in here. Alright, so the board in this machine actually looks pretty clear. Pretty clean. So I'm going to guess that it's something attached to it that's fucking up with the sensors. Now the liquid came in like this. It went splat. Let's see what the trackpad looks like. It only took Apple 4 fucking years to figure out that people want the ability to replace the trackpad without ungluing a battery that can blow up in their face. Trackpad cable is clean. The trackpad itself is actually clean. No corrosion, no collusion. Usually I would run the Apple Service Diagnostic or AHT and it would tell me which sensor is going bad and I'd be able to figure out what's going on with it. But because Apple are cunts, they locked it down to where we don't have access to that kind of stuff anymore. So, yeah. Sometimes fixing products designed by a company, staffed by cunts, can be a pain in the ass. But it is what it is. Let's see what we have on the board itself. Alright, minor, very minor corrosion up there, but that's not anything crazy important. Let's see, what does it say here? Actually, that section that's somewhat corroded. Granted, it's for a no-stuff piece, but that's Thunderbolt. Yeah, take a look. Take a look. U5640. Thunderbolt current sense. Well, you know. That's weird that R5640 is present. But U5640 isn't. Either way. If it's corroded, let's uncorrode it. We're kind of guessing here. We don't have the tools that would allow this to be a more simple problem to repair. So I'm stuck guessing. Oh, you didn't see that. Oh well, yeah it is. Why don't you start the machine first to see what they meant by slow, see if a comparison for when fixed. Because it's a waste of time. The moment that I turned it on, I heard the fan spinning at something like 6,000 RPM, which means that the sensor is malfunctioning. I don't know which sensor it is. It could be any one of these sensors, but the fact that the fan is spinning at 6,000 RPM is clearly audible, and it tells me that there's a sensor failure. Once the fan is not spinning at 6,000 RPM, I will know that I have fixed my sensor issue. Now, would I prefer to have a little piece of software or access to the diagnostics or the sensor reading software that tells me which sensor is not reading right so that I could confirm it when I'm done? Absolutely! But I'm working on a piece of garbage Apple product that's designed by cunts that have put in effort intentionally to ensure that that software that allows me to see which sensors are failing is not accessible to me. So the best proxy that I have for that is look around the board, guess what the fuck's wrong with it, and when I plug it back in, if the fan is not spinning fast anymore, then I fix my problem. Is this perfect? No. Can I expect perfect when fixing a product designed by cunts? Not really. Again, you have to keep in mind that I'm working on a product designed by cunts, sold by cunts, engineered by cunts, and that is going to be a big bottleneck here. So the troubleshooting strategies that would be available to me if I were working on a product not made by cunts, not an option. Because it's one thing if people are hacking shit to, like get something for free, or like I get the back and forth to prevent piracy of stuff, like expensive software and shit like that. Well, it's a fucking sensor reading program. Like, you had to put in that much effort to make sure people couldn't get access to that. Alright, so what do we have over here? Now, what's interesting is that I don't actually have a schematic that tells me what this thing is. You may think you have a schematic that tells you what this thing is. But, let's see. So, see this? There's no chip here. So this is not a schematic for an 820-00840. This is a schematic for an 820-00875 that they label 840. So we have a chip here, and I don't know what the fuck it even does. That's corroded. I don't even know what this is for. I have no idea what this is for. Not even a guess. But I'm going to replace it. Because what the hell else am I going to do? You can use datasheet of IC. Okay, find me a datasheet. I'm waiting. Where's my datasheet? Google it. You Google it. You're the one telling me to find datasheet. Go for it. Find it. Alright. I am here to watch, not do your work. You are here to be a cunt. It seems. Okay. I'm going to wick this away. Cut away some of the wick. So USB 2 probably has nothing to do with my sensor issues now, does it? USB 2, this ain't going to be even remotely close to a sensor issue. But it was corroded, so, you address the corrosion. Should I really put this back on? Is USB 2 essential? I don't think that USB 2 is essential. What I find interesting is that some of the Sabaton 72150s that are not compatible with an LCD come with the attachment that allows you for the hall sensor for speed. What the fuck is the point of knowing what speed you're going on a device that cannot output it to a screen? Like, does it work with Neuralink or something with a firmware update? Will it tell my mind what speed I'm going? But I mean, it is what it is. Can you please explain what you've done so far? I found corrosion and I fluxed corrosion. That's about it. And then I guessed a lot, and I called Apple a cunt a bunch of times for not making sensor software available. I think that's pretty accurate. Would you say that sums up what I've done so far? Also, what's this? It looks like there's been flux on this board already. Strange. We have minor corrosion underneath this Wi-Fi chip. But I'm not going to reflow this because I know better. Papa, did you get yours with an LCD and a speed sensor, or no LCD and a speed sensor? Because if you got it with no LCD, then the speed sensor is genuinely useless. I may try hooking up the speed sensor on mine if I wind up getting one with an LCD. But the ones with the LCD are only available from China, and that's probably going to take forever to get here. I have stuff I bought at the end of April from China that still hasn't made its way here. Alright, so as far around the board as I can see, the only two corroded spots were up there. The only thing that had anything remotely to do with the sensor was over here. So I'm going to give that area a bit of a reflow with hot air. What did you get so far as well? Did you get the Bafang only? Did you get a controller? What else have you gotten? What is this? You want to get killed, don't you?
Put it on.
Go outside with that. Walk around the block.
Can I take a camera with me?
You'll probably get killed. Huh?
All the liberals are too scared to leave the house.
You'll get sniped.
Oh god, you're right.
Just This is one of those shitty repairs because there's not really... Yeah, this is a shitty repair. If I want to actually check sensors, I'm kind of limited on what I can use to check them. I used to use this hardware monitor or hardware sensor program, but what I noticed with some of the new machines is that it actually won't register the sensors that are malfunctioning. So like in the old machines, it would say minus 124 Celsius on a sensor that was malfunctioning. And that was great because I don't think anything in my office is minus 124 Celsius. So I could safely assume that was the sensor that needed repair. But now it just doesn't show the sensor if it's missing. And different machines have different sensors in them. I wonder what Piranov would do in this situation. Piranov is just he's like a brain in a jar. Let's start tapping that asset. If I take 2 letters off of that, it becomes sexual harassment. There's random little things falling out of this computer. Wow, this is a really annoying trackpad cable to try and plug in. This is an annoying one because each time you want to test it, you got to plug everything back in. Sensor issues are always annoying if they're not obvious, but it's a part of the job. But they are annoying. The fan is not spinning at a fast speed anymore. Did I speak too soon? I did. The fan is spinning fast again. You fucking piece of shit. Yep. Same shit. Because there's a sensor failure, it's going to boot up really, really slowly. And you just got to sit there for 10 or 20 minutes and wait for it to boot so that you can even try to check sensors. This is why sensor issues are really annoying. Like, can you imagine waiting 10 to 20 minutes to boot something up each time you need to troubleshoot if you fixed it? Or to see what it is? It's so obnoxious. I'm waiting all day for this to start up before I can see what's wrong with it. This is really, really fucking boring. Like you legit just have to sit here and just wait all day for it to turn on before you can check a sensor. Type Racer now at end of stream. I don't have any space on my desk for the keyboard actually, so I don't think I could do a game of Type Racer right now. So Piranov, what do you use for sensors on the new machines? I've just been handing all this shit off to Paul and Chris, which is kind of not fair. I'm not sure what they're using. But Piranov, you're the one that's a brain in a jar. I'm kind of curious. Ah, so HW sensors. So that's pretty... Yeah, so with the older machines, I would get readings of minus 124 Celsius or some ridiculous shit. And that would always make it obvious that that was the sensor I needed to focus on. With the new machines, what's bothering me, Piranov, is that if a sensor is failing, it just doesn't show up in the list. So you need to memorize what all the sensors are in order to tell when a sensor is missing. And that's really, really, really... really lame. Especially considering that different machines have different fucking sensors. So you have to memorize a list of sensors for a list of different machines. It's just, why? Ugh. Awful. Alright, I feel a little bit better knowing that the brain in the jars doesn't even have a solution for this. I don't have a solution, but I'm not as stupid as I think I am. Only as stupid as my audience thinks I am. Nothing from Clinton the cat. He's been quiet lately. I think he's actually starting to lose his eyesight. Yeah, Clinton the cat is starting to lose his eyesight. Poor guy. I'll be back once I get my USB adapter to boot from a Linux Live CD. I need adapter to boot in a Linux. This is a Snowflake adapter. Show my external drive, you piece of shit. There we go. I haven't used Linux regularly since 2014. What check sensors? Is it LM sensors? I think LM sensors. I feel like such a noob. Press Control-C to cancel file system checks. Yes, please, don't waste more time on that shit. Who uses Linux in the chat? I'm a noob. I haven't used Gentoo in six years. I actually did use Gentoo when I used Linux. But is it LM sensors? What am I typing in to check the sensors? This doesn't even boot into Ubuntu. Because usually you boot up and it takes a while, but then eventually you get to the point where you can check a sensor. Here we go. Linux really does look a lot nicer than Windows now. I just can't use it because I got really used to using Vegas for editing. It's just so much better than DaVinci Resolve. Wait a sec, I can't app-get shit. I didn't even plug in the Wi-Fi wires. Let's see, sensors. I forget how this works. I haven't used LM sensors in such a long time. Okay, you have to install it. Or, yeah, I got to install it. So first, that means I have to plug in my Wi-Fi wires so I can connect to Wi-Fi. So let's do that. Wi-Fi wire number 1. Come on. There we go. Okay, now I should be able to connect to Wi-Fi if the thing's Wi-Fi not connected. Wi-Fi settings. Tell me you don't have a driver for this thing's Wi-Fi. Okay, there you go. You do. I was about to lose my shit just there for a moment. Okay, what is the package I'm looking to apt get here? Was it LM-sensors or LM sensors? This is going to take a while. I forgot since it's new. LM-sensors has no candidate. LM_sensors has no candidate. Alright, let's actually... Now I gotta do research. Now I feel like a real Linux user right now. I almost forgot what it was like to be a Linux user. You want to install shit and it just doesn't work. Now I remember why I stopped using this kludged together shit operating system. Take whatever you would do in Windows, multiply the amount of time it would take by 5, and you have Linux. I spent 11 years doing this to myself. I must have really hated myself. Like, really hated myself. Unable to acquire the D package front-end lock is another software process using it. No, there's nothing open. Install my fucking sensors, you cunt. There we go. Linux gonna Linux. Okay. So we have a bunch of sensors here. And every single one of these fucking sensors reads minus 128 Celsius. And the best part is, they're all cryptic as hell. So, like, what do I do with this shit? Okay, so TCOP, THOB, THOC. Okay, honestly, I read that as thick cock for a moment. Thov, Tipsid, Tolkt, Tulp, Twop, Titch1H, Tmop. So the only one that I recognize here is TSOP, which is trackpad. So this is all of the sensors. So the first thing we got to do is write down which ones are bad. And then we have to figure out, once we see which ones are bad, what they have in common. But the main issue here is I don't even know what these names are. And the schematic is not going to list them in this way. I'll show you. That's another great part about Apple engineering. So I'm going to write these all down. Now, let me demonstrate why this is a problem. Now, usually the different sensors are on different buses. So what we'll do is we'll try to figure out which sensors are bad, and it'll typically correspond to one bus. So let's say there's 3 sensors that are bad, they're all in the same bus. We go from there, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, and we go to solve our problem. The issue here is that all of them are fucked up. So that's a big part of our problem. Now, Piernov actually posted a really good link because, as I said, he is, as I call him, a brain in a jar, to something that gives us what the names of all of these sensors are, which is cool. Check it out. So it lists what every sensor is here with the names. But still, like, we have like 16 sensors are bad. Like, come on, that's a joke. So what do these sensors have in common is going to be what we look for. So the sensors that are bad, let's just go over that. TCLP is bad. That's going to output to a capacitor here and this chip, U5870. All right? So I'm going to write that down in my program, U5870, right next to the sensor. Then we have THOB. All right, so THOB is not found. So now I'm going to go over to Piernov's sensor code document and figure out what that is. That looks like SSD proximity. And the word SSD proximity is not there. Okay, we're just going to look for the word SSD then and see if we find this and see if we find a sensor that's related to it. I don't see a sensor yet. I do not see... Oh, here we go. But that says proximity. Proximity sensor is not going to be current sensing. A proximity sensor is going to be temperature. (14_1) is the right one. Thank you, fair enough. Well, this one doesn't even have a THOB. Okay, so we're going to ignore THOB for the time being. THOC is, again, that's a NAND proximity sensor, but this machine doesn't have NAND because the SSD is not soldered to the board. All right, let's keep going. Let's see if we find an SSD proximity sensor. I'm going to say what chip each one of these sensors is associated with and write them all down. It just takes patience, but this is what it's like working on these issues. So, okay. Next, Fuck the SSD sensor. THOR. What is THOR? THOR is not even on this list, so we're just going to ignore that one. Yeah, it's not in the sensor list that PRNOV sent me. Let's see if it's in the schematic. Okay, so one of the sensors that's not reading doesn't appear to exist on this computer, so we move on to the next one. THOV does not exist, so again, that's not. I will not concern myself with sensors that don't exist. TMOP. That sounds familiar. Here we go. TMOP is going to go to U5800. This is a different chip. Also, keep in mind, this is by where the original corrosion was. I'd like to actually, let me see if I can just show you everything that's on my screen right now, because that would probably be better. I believe that any value 128 is a sensor that's not installed is the default value to make one chip work for more configurations. Probably. That could be a... Because some of them are 124 and some of them are 128, and I didn't write down which is which. So, what's next? So, U5800. Now, let's see if U5800 and the other chip share a bus. That would be interesting, would it not? So, U5800, does that share a bus with the other chip that wasn't working, which is U5870? And what do you know? U5870 and U5800 share a bus. Bada bing, bada boom. We're getting somewhere. Okay, next. The next sensor that was faulty was TPCD. I'm going to go and check TPCD. Nope, that doesn't have a name. TPCD is Platform Controller Hub Die. Okay, let's just search for the word die, because I don't know how they're going to name that. Platform Controller Hub is not there. Search for the word PCH. So where is the PCH sensor? Where is the PCH sensor? I'm never going to find PCH sensor, so fuck that. We move on to the next. The naming is not clear, so finding that is going to be a fucking nightmare. Told. What's told? Okay, told is not even in this list, so I'll ignore it. Tulp is not in the list. It doesn't exist. TW0P is something that I've heard of before, so that should be here. That's going to be airport. All right, we have an airport sensor. Can I get a bailout, please? All right, let's find an airport sensor. Oh, the word airport is only mentioned 2 times. That fucking sucks. See, what's really annoying here is the different nomenclature between everything. They're called different things in different parts of the schematic, and in different, the sensor is called something here, something there. Aha, thermal sensors, okay, any of these Wi-Fi. This says charger Wi-Fi, but that makes no sense, because charger and Wi-Fi are totally different. But also, Q5873 is located on the opposite side of the board from this to begin with. Yeah, so the Wi-Fi chip is over here, but that transistor, the sensor for Wi-Fi is over here. So that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. I don't believe that is the Wi-Fi sensor. Let's continue down the list. Maybe look up the word sensor. What do you think I have in the search right now? Okay, so there's nothing there. That's the end of the sensors. So I'm going to ignore that one, because it doesn't make any sense. TW0P I have. Okay, there's TALC. Airflow left. Here we go. CPU, memory proximity, FinStack proximity. Talc. Alright, Talc is over here. Talc is going to speak to U5870. Alright, so Talc, U5870. Okay, we got 2 U5870s. TH1H, I believe that's a FinStack sensor. TH1H. You also speak to U5870. Okay. TMOP. TMOP is this charger Wi-Fi rubbish. That goes to U5800. What else was there? TSOS. I've never heard of TSOS before. Bottom skin. Skin. Yeah, sorry. I have no idea what the fuck that is. TS1S. That doesn't exist either. So U5870 and U5800 came up several times in my troubleshooting. So now, let's see if these 2 chips share a data line, or if anything that's on the data line looks bad. Because one of the things you got to keep in mind here is that it doesn't necessarily have to be U5800 or U5870. It could be something else in this line. So it doesn't have to be this or this. These 2 chips over here, they share a data line. These 2 chips share a data line, but it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this. That's bad. Now, ALS is ambient light sensor, and over here, the ambient light sensor is typically in the webcam is in the screen, and the screen connector is over here, so we can check that and see if that's what's doing it. But I'd like to take a look at all these areas and see what they look like. Alright, let's just take a look around the board. Let's just take a look at all the stuff in this area. Alright, so, first things first, So my data line is going to be over here. Okay, so 0.543, so 0.380. Strange. So, oh wait, yeah, no, I'm using the wrong pins here. Shit. It's supposed to be pins 6 and 7. Okay, my bad. Okay, see, one of them is lower than the other. Usually I get 0.544 on SMC data lines, right? One's lower than the other, but it's not that low. It's not low by enough. Like that barely makes it. Come on. So I don't think that's going to be any of what's going on here. So first thing I'm going to do is let's just unplug the screen and see if that's doing it. You motherfucker. Tell me the screen was making it slow. No fucking way. No way. No fucking way. Now, when the screen is unplugged, wrong probe. 0.571. .591. Fatman, this was actually a Polo MacBook. 0.577. 0.590. Okay, so they're still off. They're still different from each other. When I plug the screen back in, usually SM bus data clock. 0.514. They've always been the same for me, Pierre enough. When I plug the screen in, they go down a little. Is it the screen? This is gonna be so fucking annoying. Well, let's just go through the list. All right, let's do this calmly. U5800 can't be the problem because U5800 doesn't exist. U5810 could be the problem because it exists. Wait a second. No, it doesn't. That doesn't exist. So these two chips cannot be the problem by virtue of the fact that they don't exist. It's got to be the screen, U5870, or the SMC. It's that simple. U5870 has no corrosion on it at all. Totally clean. Let's look at the screen connector under a more revealing light in a moment. Screen connector looks pristine. It's not a mark on that. Alright, it's going to be bad SMC or bad U5870. But it's going to be bad SMC, because U5870 would only be bad if it was pulling everything down. And the problem is the data line is not pulled down, it's just that the SMC is ignoring every piece of data on that data line. So I'm going to replace U5870. I'm going to reflow the SMC. I'm going to ultrasonic it, and we'll see if... Now, why am I not doing one at a time? Because remember, I have to... yeah, that would let me know exactly which one it was. I'm not interested in figuring out exactly which one's causing the problem. I'm interested in getting this thing the fuck off my desk so I can move on with my life. Taking into consideration how long this piece of shit takes to boot in order to test, I really am not interested in the purely scientific which is it that is the problem right now, because I just kind of want to get on with my life. So we are going to replace U5870, reflow the SMC, and ultrasonic it. So it could be one of three things. It could be that there's residue on the board and that residue is stopping the data line. It could be that the SMC reflow does it, or it could be that it was U5870. It could be any one of the three. And that's that. SMC gets rehotted. Incorrect, Wanto. That is 110% incorrect. This is not a flip chip design, therefore, this cannot even be remotely compared to reflowing the GPU. Frankly, if you don't know the difference between an SMC on a liquid damaged machine and a GPU failure, then you're kind of closer to the reflow GPU crowd than I am. Just installed it a mere shadow of Windows tools. Huh. Yeah, if you can't tell the difference between a SMC on a liquid damage board and a flip chip BGA that failed from heat, then I just don't know what to tell you. You're off in please, bro land. So. Bounce. Do this. Bada bing, bada boom. What will you be using Linux for? To give myself a feeling of superiority over others while wasting my time. Alright. Now to find one of these boards that actually has that sensor chip present. Uh-huh. I made the cap slip again. You piece of... Get in place, mofo. Alright. Now we give you a quick ultrasonicking, because we do have a little bit of residue. If you look at the board at an angle, see? Residue. That's going to fuck with data lines. So we want to fix that. That's what a happy little ride through the ultrasonic cleaner will do. If we turn this on and the fans go burr, I'm going to take this machine and beat Tim Cook over the head with it. And that'll be it for today. Time for bzzz. You ready to hear the noise? Go bzzz. If you guys haven't figured out that the ultrasonic makes noise after me streaming for 3 years, 3.5 years now actually, I don't know what to say. This is a workshop. Shop tools make noise. And I warned you before I turned it on. Can't say I didn't warn you. I warned you. Ultrasonic go brr. Ultrasonic goes brr. Okay. The residue is now off of the board. See? Nice clear board. Over here we got this residue before if you looked at it at an angle, and now that's all gone. Alright, I remember, for sensor crap, I gotta plug everything in because the trackpad is a sensor. This thing talks to the battery. So everything has to get all plugged in again. Now, what do you think we're doing if it doesn't work after this? What do you think is going to be the next thing on my list for today? What do you think we're doing to this computer if this doesn't fix the problem? We'll let you guys guess. Throw it from a window. Burn it. Give it a Paul. You know, that's an excellent vote right there, most likely. So the next step on this would be, is the screen pulling the shit down? I'm going to plug a different screen in and see if I get a different diode mode measurement on that SM bus line. If it's different, I'll try it with the new screen. If it's the same, I'm not even going to bother wasting time booting up with it. After that, this will go to Chris for an SMC. I don't have an SMC stencil. He does. So I don't have the tool required to reball another SMC. I have the SMC stencil for the old MacBook. I got to get an SMC stencil for the new one. I should be selling that at store.rossmangroup.com. And after that, then we throw this machine in the fucking garbage where it belongs. And this machine gets tossed in a garbage dumpster. Because this is just a really annoying problem to repair. Like, it's not like backlight, where I could just have the screen plugged in, or charging, where I just have the battery plugged in, or turning on, where I just have the fan plugged in. Every time I want to fuck with this, I gotta unplug everything and plug all this shit back in. It's just a gigantic fucking waste of time. And one ticket can't be allowed to take up this much time, because one ticket is not paying enough to take up this much time. So, I need my battery screw. Give me your battery screw. I wonder if this machine has a chip that creates a voltage for the analog to digital conversion or something like that. The sensors. Let's see. Does that exist here? While I wait for this to boot, I might as well look it up. I forget what it was called in the old one. What was it called? It was AVREF, I believe. Note to self, check VREF. Alright, so I actually forgot to plug the screen in. So I'm going to... that was stupid. So I'm going to unplug the battery so I can plug the screen in. Alright, battery unplugged. Wondering why I didn't see anything on the screen. AVREF is 3 volts. The fan is spinning fast again. The fan is spinning fast, and it's not booting up all the way. So the next thing to try here, the last thing that I have in my mind, is I'm going to try it without the screen plugged in and see what happens. Let's see what happens if I unplug the screen, because it could be that the webcam is doing all of this. So we haven't changed anything. We are literally back where we started. And this cable is too short to actually reach an outside screen. This is going to be weird, because I have to have the trackpad plugged in for it to tell that sensor, but I can't have it inside the fucking case. I guess wow. This is going to be some bullshit. Let's see if I can find a way to finagle another screen in there. Do you have an A1708 test screen? I think it's causing a sensor issue.
Yes.
If it's not this, I throw a computer out the window. See if this piece of shit boots up. Okay, so how the fuck do we test this? So I have to have this out like this. I have the trackpad hanging out. I could screw that back in, but there's brackets I have to put back in, and I don't want to do that just yet. Maybe like this? But then like this, there's no space over here for this to... Fuck, this is annoying. God damn, Apple products. Anyway, it just barely makes it. Do you plug in? Alright, you plug in. So now this. So now I need a camera that's like pointing this way. I need a camera behind the desk for this. Alright, so this goes here. Now I need something to hold this fucking monstrosity up, because that's going to fall right over. Actually, the flex cable can hold it up. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. This is fine. This is professional. MacBook repair. I'm a real business. Look at me, Mom, a real company. Alright. Stay. Put. Okay. Boot, you fuck. Boot. I see an Apple logo. Fan is spinning at a reasonable speed. The fan stopped spinning! The fan's not spinning! Oh, it's gonna boot? It's gonna boot? Is it gonna boot? You can't see that the fan is not spinning because the camera's up there. I'm afraid if I touch this, I'm going to fuck something up. You're going to have to take my word for it, though. The fan's spinning again. But it's spinning at a normal speed. So it's going to take its sweet time to boot, because I kept turning it on and off. That's a problem. But it did boot! It fucking booted! It was the screen this whole fucking time! The board was fine! There was nothing wrong with this motherboard! Ah! Fuck you, Apple! So let's go over what was going on here. It was running ridiculously slow, which is typically a sensor issue. When it's running really slow and the fan spins up really fast, sensor issue. So I boot up on a Linux, which takes like 10 minutes just to boot. I install the sensor program, and it gives me a list of all the sensors that are bad. And I noticed that there were a lot of sensors that were bad. So I cross-referenced it with a list that Piernov gave me. Piernov gave me a list that shows all of the different sensors, like what they correspond to. So I looked them up in the schematic, because I can't, like, TMOP, TSOP, it doesn't really say what that is a lot of the times in the schematic, but it will if I type in the whole name. And they all seem to share this one data line. Now, on that data line, I noticed there was sensor chip, webcam, SMC. Because this is that what I saw was for the ambient light sensor. So if we take a look on the schematic here on the screen, you'll see. Don't beep at me, you fuck. Here we go. So all the sensors that were bad were sensors controlled by U5870, U5800. Now U5800 doesn't exist on the board. U5810 also doesn't exist on the board. ALS, that stands for ambient light sensor. And the ambient light sensor is located inside of the webcam. The ambient light sensor is what's going to tell when it's bright out. If it's bright out, then it's going to turn your keyboard down. If it's dark out, then it's going to turn your keyboard light up. And it goes to the SMC. So I replaced this chip. I reflowed the SMC. Still didn't work. So at that point, I got a new screen, and now it works. So if you own an Apple product and the ambient light sensor in the computer stops working properly, the machine will become unusably slow and not work anymore. The ambient light sensor, if the computer cannot see light properly, it will fuck up every other part of the computer. Because Apple. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.